Story 1. Am I the a-hole for making food for everyone but my younger sister? I, female 16, have a younger sister, female 11, with a very strong personality. She often speaks without thinking, which causes us to bump heads. She's said that I smell, that my breath stinks, that I'm a goody two-shoes, and other stuff that really hurts my feelings. Often when called out, she just says, "It just slipped out," or "I didn't mean it like that." She gets upset when asked to do things she doesn't want to do and rolls her eyes, mumbles under her breath, or ignores people to voice her displeasure. I've asked her a question or spoken to her, and gotten completely ignored until my mother tells her to respond. Or I'll ask her to do something for me, like put my clothes in with hers, and she'll refuse. Obviously, she doesn't have to do this, but if she's doing it anyway, and I've done the same for her, it would be nice, you know? What gets me the most, though, is that she's the first one to ask for someone to do something for her, buy her something, or give her something. But she always behaves like having to do anything for anyone else is the worst inconvenience in the history of ever. Don't get me wrong, I've tried calmly explaining why it's hurtful over text and in person. I've yelled and argued, but she's always got a laundry list of excuses. I said, "I can't win with you." And she said, "So why do you keep trying if you know you aren't going to win?" In this really snarky tone. I've told my mom too, but she just said that you can't force people to change, which is valid. But I don't think it's fair for me to be disrespected because that's just how she is. Today I was making breakfast for myself. There are babies in the house. Not my siblings, but we're staying with a family friend until we can find our own place. So our host asked me to make them some too. I did, and my sister said, "I want some. Can you make me some?" I told her no, but that she had 2 working legs and was more than welcome to make some herself. My mom said that I'd better make everyone some food while I'm making some for myself. And I said I'm more than happy to make anyone food that wants some. But I'm not making any for my sister, because I don't do things for people that disrespect me. She rolled her eyes at me and was clearly very upset that I didn't make her any food. But I ignored her and made everyone else's plate and sat down to eat mine. She kept glaring at me while I was cooking, and now I'm wondering if I was a little too harsh on her and shouldn't have excluded her like that. So, am I the a-hole for making everyone food but my younger sister? Edit. Because I feel it's important. She doesn't just disrespect me. She rarely listens to my mother and kinda just does whatever she wants to do. It's well known that she's hard-headed. Edit 2. My mom agreed with me not making anything for her. After I told her I wasn't doing things for disrespectful people, she nodded and said, "That's valid." Edit 3. Because people are asking, our father passed away 7 years ago. He was very active and involved in our lives. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole, your sister is 11, and she doesn't have an excuse to act like a brat toward you, especially if you have done things for her in the past. She obviously doesn't understand right from wrong. And I guess that's understandable because she's a child, but still. I think your parents should have taught her better. While it would have been mature of you to make her breakfast, I can see why you didn't. Completely ignore your feral sister until she comes around, if ever. If your mom complains you are ignoring feral sister, then you tell your mom that she refuses to teach feral daughter that there are repercussions to behaving so poorly, and that is her choice, but you will for sure be teaching feral sister that there are repercussions to behaving poorly with you. And tell your mom she is right, and that you can't force people to change. But you for sure can force yourself to change, and this is the change in your behavior. You will not invest any time or energy into sister or anyone else who treats you poorly. Not the a-hole. Also, they can be even more straight up before they gray rock. You are rude. No one will like you. You will not have friends if you keep acting like this. I already don't like you, and we are family. Make them think hard. That was my first thought as well, but I feel it will do more harm than good. Being 11 is tough, and in between those moments of being a terrible teen, there are moments of sadness, confusion, frustration, and loss. During those times, the child will yearn for comfort from her loved ones, but will struggle to reach out for support, so the child will likely face her extreme struggles on her own. Saying those things will make the child feel isolated and rejected, which is not the intention. Not acknowledging the child during bouts of bad behavior so that there is no payoff for the child is a good course of action for now. If the child ever wants to come around, the child cannot feel the bridge has been burned. 11 is old enough to know how to be a contributing member of the household. Your sister appears to experience no consequences for not following through. At her age, she is not necessarily old enough to remember unprompted or without occasional reminders. But if asked to do a simple chore or task, there shouldn't be so much drama. This example is probably the first time she's had an actual consequence to her behavior. I suggest it not be the last example of a consequence, not the a-hole. You are not the a-hole for not making your little sister breakfast, and for otherwise not doing small favors for her, or just generally ignoring her while she behaves like a little jerk. But man, she said that I smell, that my breath stinks, that I'm a goody two-shoes, and other stuff that really hurts my feelings. Kid siblings are who God put on this earth to train us to deal with a-holes later in life. They're supposed to be little craps at least some of the time. Your sister is an extreme case, for which your mother is to blame, but you gotta learn to let her rude, childish comments roll off your back. Develop a thicker skin. She's 11. Her opinions don't matter. The other thing you could do is learn to fire back. Her. You're a goody two-shoes. You. It's up to 3 now, can't you count? Light the little cretin up. Make her cry a couple times and she'll stop. Light the little cretin up. Make her cry a couple times and she'll stop. This gave me a laugh, thank you. I'd love to light her up, don't get me wrong, but she kinda got all the sass and I got all the sensitivity. I'd feel super terrible saying mean stuff to her even if she's doing it to me, lol. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for shutting off my Wi-Fi at night? Hello, y'all. Hopefully this post is not too long, as I don't want to take up a lot of your time. So let's begin from the beginning. I moved into my new apartment in July of last year, and no one lived below me for a couple of months. After a couple months, a guy moved in. The first thing I have experienced from him was blasting his music so loudly that it sounded like it was coming from my apartment, as well as vibrating my floors and walls. I have never met him before this, and after that, I asked him to just try to keep quiet after 11 p.m. at that is around the time I go to bed. Very frequently, he does not shut it off after 11, and I get woken up at 3 a.m. to it. There was even a time where I had to miss 4 hours of my scheduled hours at work because he played it until 4 in the morning, and I couldn't sleep and had to get up at 5:30 for work to work a 12-hour shift. I have had minimal contact with him for the occasional neighbor stuff like, can you grab my package off the porch so it doesn't get stolen, etc. Well, a couple days ago, he asked me to use my Wi-Fi for a couple of days until he can pay his own Wi-Fi. I allow him to use it for free of charge because I know we are all struggling in this economy. However, I have this deep fear of a fire happening at my house, so I unplug everything at night that is not being used. Wi-Fi being one of them, as I do not need it when I am sleeping. I woke up this morning to messages from the neighbor that are so disrespectful about the Wi-Fi not being on. Am I the a-hole? Mini update. Thank you all for your replies. I have decided to change my Wi-Fi password and not allow him to use it. A little more background though on a couple of things though. So the apartment I live in is more of a duplex, so there is only me upstairs and the downstairs neighbor who live here. As for the noise complaint, I have called the police, and the only thing that happens is he will turn the music off when they come, but the next day it is back to being on. I have learned there is some battles worth fighting, and this one isn't worth my battle as it is never going to change no matter who I go to about it. As for the whole letting him use the Wi-Fi thing, is that I don't want to cause issues while I'm living here, and I want to keep the peace as to not make things worse than they are. However, at this point, I have done everything to keep the peace, and none of it does not seem to be working, so I might as well just be an a-hole. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole, but you are a little dumb. You had a perfect bargaining chip and you threw it away. You can use my Wi-Fi if you stop being noisy between the hours of 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. It is weird that you unplug your Wi-Fi at night, but ultimately you can do whatever you please with it because it's yours. I have a hard time believing that you're actually questioning this. Like, what am I missing? The guy can pound sand. Beggars can't be choosers. I mean, you aren't wrong. I did have the perfect bargaining chip. I mean, I guess it is weird, but I grew up in a household where we unplugged everything not being used, so it was less of a chance of a fire. I grew up in firefighting home where their worst fear was a fire starting at our home. So I guess I just got used to it and have been doing it into adulthood. I mean, I'm technically not questioning it per se. I would like to say I'm not the a-hole, but I could be biased with my thinking as it about me, so I wanted to get outside opinions. Not the a-hole, but you need therapy if you are this easy to walk over. Currently in therapy and working through my people-pleasing tendencies. Honestly, I wish we didn't call it people-pleasing because it puts far too much of a positive spin on the reality of people letting others use and abuse them. Technically, not the a-hole. In practice, you're the a-hole to yourself. The guy treats you like a doormat, and when he comes to you, you lay even flatter for him to brush his shoes on you another time? Seriously? Change the Wi-Fi password, reply that his messages revoked his access permanently, and start calling noise control, or the landlord or the cops, every time he blasts music past 10 p.m. You're an adult. Act like it. Wait, what? You rewarded his bad behavior and set yourself up for trouble? Have you heard the phrase, you teach people how to treat you? I'm guessing that you consider yourself a people pleaser. I hope that you gave him a secondary password, not the main. If you didn't, then change the main immediately. If you choose to respond to the text, then tell him that you've cut off his access and that you don't need a lecture from him or anyone else on disrespectful behavior. Everyone sucks here. His transgressions are obvious, but you should seriously consider why you gave access to anyone, but especially this piece of work. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for pretending to think beans and chili are woke? To prank my cousin who is obsessed with being anti-woke and who loves chili? My cousin is known for making chili, and he's good at it. He makes his own chili flakes from his secret combination of various dried chilies. It has a very nice kick. It's like the perfect amount of spice. It's hot, but not too hot. He also always adds kidney beans. Not canned beans either. Anyways, for the past 2 or 3 years, my cousin has become obsessed with all this bullcrap about what is or isn't woke, and how woke things are the end of the world. He's always been a good dude, so I don't know what his bag is, but he is completely obsessed. It's annoying. So the other weekend I was at his place and he was making his famous chili. So I got the idea for a little prank. I was like, I'm surprised you still put beans in your chili. He was like, what? Why? I was like, beans and chili are so woke. Everyone is saying so. He was like, what do you mean? And he was like genuinely concerned, as if this was something serious. I said something like, yeah, beans and chili are woke. The original conservative Texans who made chili only used meat and chili. San Francisco liberals started adding beans to chili in the 60s because so many hippies were vegetarian. Now all the woke scientists are saying beans are a better protein source than meat. He didn't say anything to that. I kind of just assumed he'd know I was effing with him and get the joke. We have always effed around with each other and jokes about and all. But he was quiet all dinner. Just yesterday, I was back again at his place and he was making his chili again. There were no beans. It was a totally different chili. This guy has been making his chili with beans for like 15 years. I was like, what's up? Where's the beans? He was like, I don't F with that woke crap. I was like, what? He was like, beans and chili are woke. Even you know that. Everyone else was like, what? Because, what? I was like, dude, I was just effing with you. He got really angry. He dumped his chili in the sink and told everyone to go home. I thought he was pranking me back or something, but he was serious. The dude totally lost it. He texted me later and said this exact thing. I researched this online and it turns out you really were lying to me. Beans are not woke. How could you do this? We went back and forth for a bit. His position is, even though we have historically pranked each other, I went too far. That I betrayed him. That I made him question his chili. I tried to ask him if this at all made him think he cared too much about woke. Like, what if beans and chili was woke? So what? He ignored that and demanded I apologize. Did I take this too far? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole you made him question his beliefs in a smart way, and he got upset. All you did was show him how sensitive he really is. Sadly, he only questioned his belief in chili, not his knee-jerk reaction to reject anything supposedly woke. That's effing hilarious. He's so damned fixated on what other people say is woke or not woke that he'll sabotage his own cooking. He handed you that material to prank him with on a silver platter, and he needs to get over it. Not the a-hole. He went full snowflake over the woke chili. Nice. This is so true. The fragile egos of the right and the inability to recognize that fact always boggles the mind. I've started to use the facts don't care about your feelings line whenever possible. My New Year's resolution is now going to be to use "you made me question my chili" at least 7 different times. And no, I don't care whether it's February already. Other than that, not the a-hole, but you're a hilarious dude. I'd love to buy a beer if I could. Not the a-hole. Oh my gosh. This needs to happen a lot more so that people eventually see the idiocy of their anti-woke sentiments. I think I'm going to make cilantro woke 'cause soap. Can we also make any non-stretch clothes woke 'cause comfort? And makeups. Can we make makeup woke 'cause lazy? LOL, that's hilarious. Not the a-hole. You didn't know he took you seriously? Poor dude is brainwashed. Hopefully it can be some wake-up call. Oh, wait. Wake up. Haha. Maybe not. Bro really took a bean joke as a personal attack. This is the kind of prank I aspire to. Not the a-hole. Keep doing the Lord's work. Thank you for listening. If you like the video, consider like and subscribe. If you want more stories like these, turn on your notification to receive the latest stories.